Hello. Welcome to Decluttered. My name is Swaroop. My name is Aishwarya Swaroop. People call me Swaroop.
And I'm Akshay.
And welcome to the podcast. We are calling it Decluttered. And as the name suggests, we are going to talk about things and we are going to reduce the noise around those things. It could be tech and more. We are still exploring, so you explore with us.
With this series of videos, we bring you the summary of ideas that we both go chasing down.
We will start with something that Akshay told me today about
Yeah.
his workout. So, Akshay, what was it that you changed in your workout today, workout regime today?
Okay, I did actually leave my smartwatch at home while I went for a workout. Made me very uncomfortable, not gonna lie, because
Really? Did it?
it did like, and I'm not usually checking what the progress with workout is, but like I'm still looking at the time. Okay, like, okay, I've been working out for like half an hour now, and another 20-30 minutes I should be able to wrap up the rest, or like it, like even for stuff like, okay, I'm supposed to do 5 or 6 major exercises, and like I'm able to see that if I'm on track or if I'm taking a very lazy pace, like, because at times it happens you're just like chilling around, taking a very lazy pace, taking a lot of break between your exercises, so that way it helps me keep a track. So yeah, this was and I specifically, because we were gonna record this, I thought I'll make a change, and I just left my smartwatch at home today for that.
So, before we start the discussion, I think now everybody knows what we are going to talk about. It is going to be about smartwatches. We are going to probably argue a little. We are going to be a little judgmental, us included in that judgment box.
Right.
And yeah, you were you tracking the workout, which means heart rate and the calories, or was it more about the time that you clocked in?
Okay, so I am not sure if I can entirely be honest about observing my own behavior. I think that goes for most of us. In my head, I use a smartwatch just to sort of keep a log of when I've managed workouts and when I've not. But subconsciously, I think at some point there are numbers that one ends up chasing. If I don't know if that makes a lot of sense. I mean, like, obviously I like to tell myself I'm just like keeping a log, so that I can look back and see that, okay, I managed 5 workouts the past week. But at some point it's like, okay, this much calorie burn in a quick treadmill run or something like that. That is something one ends up chasing subconsciously, no?
It does happen, but because and this I mean this during our research and during our conversations, we were hooking to the fact that we chase numbers. We chase the numbers and it makes us feel a certain way. So let's actually start with talking about, what are the actual good uses of smartwatches, and then we'll
Yeah,
go
I
to the
think let's
bad.
start by giving it
Yeah,
some structure now. We
yes, yes,
started in a chaotic fashion.
yes.
Also, I must add some more context. The two of us are actually approaching this with like from two extremes of this discussion. We're primarily trying to figure if like smartwatches do they actually help. And I am a very active smartwatch user. Before that, I was very actively using smart bands and all, and I think I've been using them on and off for what, before Apple Watch existed. So like smartwatches are like smart bands, 2016 maybe. So been almost 7-8 years now. You have tried it multiple times,
Never.
I believe.
No. I have not tried it multiple times. I've tried it only one time for 1 week when I was in my hometown because my parents had one smartwatch which was given to me by my ex company. So I thought
Okay.
I'll just track my steps because the activity was low. And I would
Right.
wear it only during the activity. So that is it. That's the extent of it. And we both are active people. We are actually, I am a Weight Watcher. Akshay, are you a Weight Watcher?
I am, yes. Like,
Yes, so we both are Weight Watchers
thankfully,
as
I'm
well.
glad the camera is not showing the whole of me, but yeah, I have to.
So it's a very conscious habit. Fitness is we are conscious about fitness is what we have understood. We might not be pros, we might not be really extremely fit, but we do work out constantly and we try to. So anyway, that's just the context of the two people that we are. Akshay approaches things from a very functional point of view, and he is an optimization freak. While for me, it works like any normal person.
I I'm
Is
not
that
sure
right?
if you can say that like a normal person anymore, to be honest. And I think we'll touch a bit upon that somewhere along this discussion.
Yeah, so but for about me, you need to talk about me, right? Because I cannot talk about myself a lot. I am unaware of my own being. That is the curse of being human, and the curse of human consciousness. Okay, so yeah, Akshay, what do you think are let's go back to the structure, and what do you think are the uh, pros of smartwatch? And because you have used them for a really long time and different devices for that matter, right?
Right, yes. And I think we'll first touch upon the ones that companies are advertising, which obviously fitness. Everyone wants to get in shape, everyone wants to be in a better shape than they are. Even the athletes, are constantly chasing. And I feel that's sort of a low hanging fruit for companies to sort of attack.
I agree. I agree.
And be
And especially
and
after
beyond,
COVID, it's a maniacal thing almost to track.
absolutely is. So
And
I think I cut you off there, huh?
no, no, no. That's a continue. I'm actually expecting a list from you.
Acha, okay. Right. So apart from fitness, I mean, it's obviously a accessory, a lifestyle choice that's there. But another major pitch, apart from like the emergency, I would say alerts or emergency utilities, because on every once in a while we keep hearing stories about how someone had a heart condition or someone had a emergency panic situation, and the watch was able to like help or timely alert or notify emergency contacts, or could notify about a hard fall. And I think that's something we are seeing in a lot of advertising as well. So that's obviously something these manufacturers are like those smartphone manufacturers, smartwatch manufacturers are clearly looking at. And outside of that, I feel the functionality of complementing a smartwatch, complementing your ecosystem, maybe to cut down your screen time, maybe to allow you to access certain functionalities better compared
That, yeah,
to a different smartphone screen or a laptop screen. I think these are the primary utilities that are pitched to us.
I read this in a marketing document where there were, benefits of smartwatches. There was this list, and the one that I was most attracted to was improves access to care. So if you, like you mentioned, a lot of people, there are cases where if there is a fatality going to happen, then you are, cautioned about it beforehand that the heart rate is going low or something else is happening. There is stress coming in, somebody is going to get a panic attack, so on and so forth. I am not an expert, so on the health condition, so I'll not talk about that. But I'm just talking about the marketing perspective of it. Now there's another thing, because I'm a marketer, I'm immune to a lot of marketing, and it is more observational from me from the point of view of profession, right? So,
I understand.
um, so when I see the functionality, apart from what is marketed, what I have seen people use it mostly for is to find their, if it is an Apple Watch, to find their iPhone. They ding it from their watch and then they find it in whatever room it is. The second one is tracking sleep. This is something, I mean, I think we have talked about, and we have shared screenshots of
Right.
people saying something which was related to their sleep cycle or how they are sleeping better or not. You know, actually calculating or looking at their deep sleep and then looking at their REM cycle, and probably how they are sleeping in the morning, looking at that whole graph. Then I think these are the two that I can think of which people use it for. And then obviously calculating the number of, or looking at the number of steps that you have walked throughout the day. It's only giving you a number.
It is giving you a number. Okay, so like arguments can be made in either direction, and I think we will make a lot of those throughout. But I feel having like a reasonable line, maybe it nudges you until a point. It nudges you that okay, I sort of promised myself that I'm gonna do 8,000 steps, I promised myself I'm gonna have at least like proper activity for 1.5 hour, and like a rational case to make here is I'm just like it's just helping me sort of keep track of the promise.
Achieve your goals better or probably motivate you? Which one is it? If you want to dive into the way you are thinking.
Motivate, I would say motivate, yes, because honestly, it keeps shaming you.
Okay, very interesting that you said it. Very
Yeah.
interesting that you said it because I wrote down something which was exactly this. You know, I was looking at the psychological effects of smart watches on people, and
Okay.
one of the things that was actually alarming was motivation from negative messages. I am not sure how that actually works or how that improves your or probably affects your consciousness about how you're motivated in general after that. You know. So, do you think shaming is the right way or negative messaging is the right way towards motivation? Does that work always, and how is that going to is that not going to shift your the way you are looking at things? Like in general also work wise
Honestly,
also the kind of hustles that we are going through, it is hustle culture.
it's hustle culture coming into another one of our device. I think that's the phrase you gave while we were discussing this topic, right? And yes, like obviously there is a lot of data suggesting that positive reinforcements work better. But like again, like the most smartwatches or even bands or like utilities like this, they sort of try to strike a balance. I feel at least from my like how I can thin slice my behavior, how can I observe my behavior. I feel there are a lot of cases where a smartwatch helps me cut down my screen time a lot, and also like the fitness part of it. But like I'm gonna touch upon both parts. So first is obviously like it is an added screen, no denying that, but it's an added screen that can replace my smartphone in so many cases. For instance, I actually very often leave my phone in the other room and have set up the notifications like that not everything that's coming on the phone is actually passing on to the smartwatch. So that allows me to a degree to prioritize and to sort of screen the notifications, because again, like we are sort of wired by now by smartphones that whenever it dings we just like go and like check the smartphones and see what the notification is. At least with a smartwatch and with like selective notifications filtering out, I know if after my phone's ding, if my smartwatch is also giving me a alert, I have to check and see if it is worth attending, if it is worth reaching to the phone for or not. And I feel for a while I tried to note down the data for it as well, my screen time, but honestly I don't remember those numbers anymore. But again, like it's filtering. And even in many cases there are certain utilities which I feel are multiple steps or more complicated on the phone, whereas with a smartwatch they just work out better. Like say music, like while you're working out you can totally leave your phone and just like use it for like use the smartwatch for your music, connect to your earphones or headphones and monitor your workouts. Plus obviously there is the obvious fitness wala part. You can in general monitor your workouts better, keep track of your workouts better, at the end of the day have a reasonable log of how active you were throughout the day, how active you were throughout the past few weeks. So it's in general decent health monitoring, giving you a sense of progress if you are making progress. Of course, it can feel slightly negative too if you're just like being lazy for multiple days in a row. But in general, if you are an active person, it's I would say a nice reinforcement or like a nice checklist item that okay, yes, I was active multiple days in a row. That's where I'm making progress.
So, then you have mentioned two things. First is you have an alternate screen, a third screen. What phones are second screens, then smartwatch is a third screen.
Yeah.
Then the second one is fitness, tracking your fitness, right? But then,
Actually, another third one. Sorry, I'll cut
hmm,
you off here.
hmm.
Another third one, which is like certain utilities that work better with a smartwatch, like payments, for instance, small ticket payments. A typical payment flow is you pull out the phone, you unlock it. Obviously, unlock process is very quick with like Face or whatever. You unlock it, you open a bank or a UPI app, you scan a QR code, and then you make the payment. Versus with a watch, you just like press the button, tap it, and done. Or like say for walking, if you're walking around a city, you'll put the walking directions on a Google Maps or something. You're holding the phone, and I'm not sure. I'm sure you have felt that too while you're walking on a footpath, on a crowded footpath. It just feels slightly uncomfortable holding the phone and walking with it, like you accidentally bump into someone, drop your phone or something like that. And you walk slow. You don't need to check your phone again if you have to walk 500 meters in one direction. And that's where I feel smartwatch works better. You just set the directions, tuck the phone back into your pocket, and like the watch will give you a nudge whenever you have to turn, and you can just see, okay, I have to turn left now. So I
So,
feel
hmm.
there are like three cases where like the smartwatch works best.
So now let's list down the three. The first one is
Reducing screen time,
reducing the
basically.
screen time, reducing the phone screen time. The second
Yeah,
one is fitness tracking or having a holistic view of how you are doing fitness wise. The
yeah,
third is more utility driven work, for example, payments, opening maps, and there could be more to it. I'm sure there is more to it.
I'm
Um,
sure. Yeah,
while we are talking about this, for our listeners, we have to understand that this is very personality driven, the usage. So if we are talking about Akshay, I know Akshay to be a person who knows what tech he is buying, what are the specifications of the tech. That is not how I make a purchase for tech. It is definitely recommendation based. It is not research based always, and it might not always be the best device in that budget. It could also be a fascinating product, might not be the best product right there. So Akshay's purchases are very specific and very thought through. Second thing is Akshay also knows, I mean, he told me about how he uses his smartwatch. What's the smartwatch that you have, Akshay?
I'm using a Samsung Galaxy Watch.
He has a Samsung Galaxy Watch. So he mentioned that, for example, like he said, if he's in another room, if he's working and his phone is in another room, only the notifications that might sound urgent will, uh, come through. And that is because he has created those kind of filters. So you have to be a user of, of that kind who knows that, okay, I need to build these barricades and these filters to become more optimized with my device, and I don't need to like every minute I'm looking at my watch, okay, another notification on Instagram, yay. So that shouldn't be happening. But
I'm
yeah.
glad you mentioned it like that because I'm sure both of us have first-hand experiences and observations related to that.
Yes, yes.
You want to talk about? You want to share something there?
Yes, yes. So I definitely, yeah. So I am not a person who enjoys a meal with people who are on their phones or who keep looking at their watch,
Same,
because
same. I get
then,
everyone to put their phone away. And
yeah,
sorry, I'm gonna take a slight tangent. That's
yeah,
why I
yeah.
hate QR code menus.
I would now like to agree. Okay, it is tedious also. A lot of times you just look at the menu and you order in person, which is fine. We are reducing paper, but still, I mean, we are going towards a different habit. Anyway,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay, so when I'm having a meal, I like having meals with people. It's possible because of our lives that we are not meeting people or talking enough. So when I'm having a meal, I would like to be with the person. And
right.
if they are always looking at their watch, it is not pleasant. It is as if you need to, be somewhere, right? So one such day, Akshay, I was on a date, and on this day, there was this person who kept looking at his watch, and it was an Apple Watch, and he kept doing this, sir, sir, purr, and there were like pages and pages of text on his phone, and he's reading a little bit of it, and then he's listening to me. He was involved, invested, nothing against the date, the person, but yes, I mean, it was a behavior. And I asked that, okay, do you need to be somewhere? It's okay if you need to take a call or if you need to address something, you need to text somebody. This person said, no, okay, I have multiple WhatsApp groups and there's something or the other going on there. So I'm just checking. So that checking behavior is not going anywhere. Smartphone was, it's an alternative of a smartphone. You're still looking. You might not respond. Like a lot of times, if I get notifications, I might look on my phone and I don't respond because I'm not in that mental state, or I don't want to
Right.
respond as of now. I don't want to engage in a conversation, right? But then if I do that same thing on my phone and just shifting my screen time from a phone to a watch, what is the point of that attention that you are trying to preserve? Right? We are trying to preserve our attentions by reducing a lot of screens from in our vicinity. So, yeah, that happened. The date went pleasantly, but that behavior was definitely noticeable. And putting it out there, not cool.
No, absolutely fair. I think I can immediately picture a friend of mine who has like very actively sort of nudged us to get a smartwatch in the early days of smartwatches, like when I was just using a fitness band. And he would advertise us like, dude, I can go running without having to carry my phone and still monitor, have my music. All valid use cases. In fact, we started seeing like his radius of how far he'll go leaving his phone at his home or office started increasing. Like he
Gamified.
got a cellular watch and like that radius started increasing as like, which is very impressive. Except the problem is, I feel for every second he would have spent extra on the phone, he was probably spending 5 seconds on the watch. I'm like just pulling numbers out of my ass. And, like, these are not rational numbers. I'm just saying to make the point. Like we just find him very often going like this and like trying to respond to full-fledged texts, like trying to type on a screen this tiny,
So,
which was, and like even trying to attend calls. They're like, okay, I'll call you back in 10 minutes when I get back. It started to get annoying, I'm not gonna lie.
what that might lead to? That might lead to us having frowns in a few years. In a decade or two, if we are getting used to, then we'll be like frowns and we'll be having these squinted eyes just because we can look at smaller screens. The watches are getting smaller and the TV screens are getting bigger. And I don't know
Right.
where the smartphone industry is going. So it's not for today, but just it's something coming out from my heart.
Also, it's funny I'm here passing judgments on others and you're passing judgments on your date. But not gonna lie, I have also on occasion caught myself quickly checking. And like right now, I know I can see a red dot on the side. So clearly, there have been messages that I need to check. It has vibrated a couple of times while we are recording this. But I found myself like quickly checking, okay, okay, acha, nothing too significant, I can attend to it
Hmm.
later. But
Hmm.
you're still looking at a watch while you are with company. And this happened one time and I did not realize I was doing this, so I'm glad my friend pointed it out. And she immediately went like, dude, like, do you have to leave? I was like, no. And then she was like, dude, no, you checked the watch, that's why
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought maybe you
I'm
have
on the
to.
other side. Imagine me on the other side. The
Huh.
experience.
No, no, but like I was not going full fledged. This. I
Yeah,
just like
sarv.
lifted my watch while it vibrated. I just lifted my watch to check the notification, and like I was away in a split second. But also
Hmm.
that split second check reflects to the other person that maybe, because
Yes.
again they don't know if it is a smartwatch or if it is a normal watch. It just reflects to them that maybe this person has to be somewhere and like is actually checking time. And again, this was not a date, so it's not like I was trying to project something. I was totally comfortable checking that this was a close friend, but also like that's how it reflected on the outside.
Good that you mentioned it about your experience right now. So I have gotten a few messages. My phone has vibrated a couple of times, but I did not bother to check because I want to be invested here. If there is something very urgent going to happen, somebody's going to call, or they are going to call at least twice, right? So that is my cue to shift my attention from here to there, and I have not looked at the notifications or who has messaged or who hasn't messaged because I mean. That is simply the liberty that we'll take while using devices, right? If it is available, you're going to check it. And you mentioned red dot, and
Yeah.
It is, I mean, it is fed in our psychology to be very sensitive to colors now. Red means something for us now. Green, that notification button means something to us. Some symbols mean something to us. For example, the mic button, the camera button, all of those things mean something to us. I mean, the kind of structures that are built in. For example, we were talking that day about the meditation apps that are there, and how that is very interesting and exhilarating and fun also to use, but at the same
Okay.
time, is it necessary? So I mean, one of our common friends, he once showed me his Apple Watch, and he said, Swaroop, look at this, look at this. And then he did, I mean, and then there was sar 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 sar, there was different vibrations that happen when you breathe in with that so they were concentric circles that were increasing, and you breathe and then you exhale, the vibrations will reduce, the intensity of vibrations will reduce, and then the circles will reduce. So it was very calming, and it was happening as well. But after that, I think we never looked at it. It was just the one time that both of us, him and I, we looked at that particular feature, and we never used it. It was fun for that 1 or 2 times.
I'm not sure. I've seen many people using that guided breathing feature on a watch,
Mm.
but honestly, not gonna lie, it's actually pretty good.
It's
And
fantastic.
usually, like watches also show stress levels. I think monitoring multiple parameters, and after like it shows you high stress, it gives you the option ki like, okay, dude, like now you gotta go do some guided breathing to calm down.
Tell me something, Akshay. Just, I mean, candid conversation here. Will you not know when you are stressed?
Yes, ideally I would. Ideally, I would. I don't need a watch to tell me that, even though like there is the option to check. And out of curiosity, I have checked a couple of times. Usually, it says I'm a calm person. I don't think when I'm actually pissed or when I'm actually stressed, I'm going to the watch and seeing it. Abhi, like now, what is gonna tell me?
Yeah, but you have a friend who did that to you. Do you wanna
Oh, so
elaborate on that?
this actually this was not on a smartwatch. This was on a Samsung S series device, and I'm not sure if you would remember because this was only for like a very limited period on like very one or two models only. They put certain sensors near the camera, which you could use to measure heart rate. I think it was Samsung Galaxy S5 or whatever you could use to measure heart rate and stress, and Samsung Health had added a bunch of new features. So now we were waiting, like we, when I say we, my boss and I, we were waiting for him, and he was also a senior level person, for him to deliver on some work which was holding us from moving forward. And we finally decided to just give him a visit in his office and like just check if there is anything we can do to catalyze it. And we arrive there, we see him worried, like just like sitting like this at his desk, looking at his phone. And we ask him what's wrong. And he goes, Vire, dekhna stress kitna aa raha hai, which loosely translates to like, dude, look at how stressed my phone tells I am. And he had checked his stress levels, I think about 5 6 times in the past 30 40 minutes, and every time the count was higher, like it was showing on a green to orange scale, and every time it was moving further towards the orange. So read into that whatever you will.
Do you think it is an iterative process that the more that you think if you are stressed, the more stressed you get, and then the more that you think that you are stressed, the more stressed you get. It
I mean, it
mm,
seemed so.
seems so. Seems so.
Yeah, it
Yes.
seemed so.
But okay, that's okay. Now let's come to the other side of the line. Okay. When people say they want to monitor their sleep, and when people say they want to monitor their stress levels,
Yeah.
how is it that human consciousness, in your own awakeness, you are not able to tell that you have slept better or not? And are you stressed or not? Because that is, I mean, a function of how active you're feeling, right? And I think with
Ideally,
adulthood,
yes.
With adulthood, it becomes more prominent. With age, it becomes more prominent. Oh, I did not sleep well. I had these stressors in mind. I did not. I woke up so and so XYZ. So do you really need a device? Do you? Because I don't depend on this device, and that's why I'm asking you because you are a user. So do you think we really need a device to tell us these factors?
I mean, ideally, we don't need a device for anything, and our bodies are equipped enough to actually tell us. But okay, like I can speak of my personal experience. I don't think I've checked the sleep score or stuff like that often. Like okay, every once in a while, like say I open the health app once a month or like once every 20 25 days. Mostly this happens when there is a phase where I have to miss workouts for a couple of days, and I just want to look back. Okay, like how was the past month, or how was the past 20 days for me? Because like I also want to remind myself,
You're
okay,
not
okay, I've not been
obsessed.
to. I like to think so. I
Hmm.
like to think so. When I'm like checking the app in general, that okay, I have missed some workouts and maybe I need to make up for that in the coming days. And I'll take a quick look at okay, okay, my sleep has been not been fine, obviously, when I've been traveling and stuff like that. But I'm not going and checking. But you are absolutely right. This is a behavior I've noticed in a lot of people who will wake up and the first thing they're going to do is check their sleep score, how much the deep sleep was, how much REM and whatever, like stuff that I don't even want to know. I wake up, I know what a good sleep I had. I was in bed asleep for 8 hours. What a brilliant day. I mean, that's how I feel. And like in general, I sleep well. I like to think I just sleep anywhere, whenever I want to. It doesn't take a lot of effort for me to go to sleep on most days. I control the lighting and all around the house to do that. So yeah, I've never felt the need to do that.
But
And
do you see that indicator that is, I mean, that is waiting for, I mean, in us, that little receptor that is waiting for the app to tell us if we slept well or we did not, and then that is how we are going to feel the whole day. That is how it is going to be fed in our mind that okay, I slept only 5 hours, but you are not,
right,
I mean, equating it to how fresh you feel or how energetic or less energetic you feel. So I'll tell you, um,
okay,
a lot of people, I mean, keep saying that okay, it's better to track sleep, and there are good, it's a good device to have when you have like really busy lives and the work hours are like really intense. I am not a good sleeper. I
right,
need 9 to 10 hours of sleep to wake up fresh. And no device needs, I mean, will tell me anything. I mean, sometimes it happens that I'll sleep for 10 hours, and even if the device tells me that you slept for 10 hours, it's possible that I'm not fresh. Deep sleep, REM sleep, all of those factors would be counted in. I don't care what
right,
that means. It is not going to help me in any manner. So, because I'm a light sleeper, I went to a doctor to, I mean, get it figured that how do I wake up fresh every day.
right,
Turns out the doctor told me, I mean, prescribed me a few things. And then I asked him that should I go ahead and buy a fitness tracker or a sleep tracker, a device which, people generally use because I don't have one. He said that there are 13 factors that are used to determine the quality of sleep, and
okay,
only two factors are actually being used in the tech that is out in the market to determine your sleep. So it is not accurate. It is only for the satisfaction of the user to, I mean, because there is this obsession that okay, this is my sleep score, this is the score that I'm keeping, this is my leadership board, me versus me, right?
right.
So it is for our own tasalli, our own satisfaction. It's not very accurate.
So interesting that you shared this whole experience. I mean, I obviously cannot say anything to what the doctor has to say. Obviously, the doctor knows better. Uh, but I mean, at some point, we are still monitoring that. Okay, there are times when I know, like without looking at the watch, I know I'm going to bed at like 2 a.m., 2 or 3 a.m. I'm not gonna go for a workout the next morning by default, just with the assumption that okay, I did not get enough hours of sleep, and that's when I cannot function properly there. It's just a way. It just makes me feel worse. So like if we are just looking at the time, that's also a degree of like sort of a measuring. Also, second part of it, I would still have the watch monitoring the sleep, because like okay, it also monitors the blood oxygen level and stuff. And there was this one time when like actually it happened a couple of times, it happened 2 3 times where it gave me a alert of the blood oxygen level at reaching a certain threshold during my sleep. It was only for a few seconds, so that was fine. Like there was no issue there. But I would still want that uh, alert for any potential issues for which I may actually need to consult an expert.
Okay, so I mean, I'm just thinking out loud. I am not an expert here, and I'm very sure about what I'm saying is like fine tuned and correct. But
Sure, go on.
um, I also feel that the people who know there are issues with their health, you know, for them this is a great device to have. For example, if you have a problem of blood pressure, okay, then it's a
Right.
great device to have. I am not sure of a lot of conditions that would be possible that could be helped with a fitness watch, fitness device, and a smartwatch. Uh, Having said that, if let's say a person who is healthy is using it to track their daily activity goals or daily activity for that matter, a lot of times, don't you think it has the potential to create panic when panic is not required?
It does, absolutely. And I think that's where the whole argument about where do we draw the line comes. Because, for instance, there is a friend of mine who would just put on his fitness band, go to the gym, go do his workouts, go do his walks, and then come back, throw the band away, and won't touch it until the next day for his workouts. And to be honest, I feel slightly terrible that I sent him a very good deal on a smartwatch a couple of days ago, and he responded, "Oh, this looks good. I'm gonna get it." And I am afraid I like may have sent him down a spiral of getting addicted to another screen. So I don't feel entirely great about that. But you're absolutely right, because I know someone who, when we see numbers, we start obsessing over numbers. I think that's a very normal behavior to
Very
have.
normal behavior, yes.
Yeah, and I know someone who earlier was obsessing over the weight, despite being perfectly healthy weight and despite being a very active person, like probably 2 3x of what you and I are. And now, like I obviously tried to nudge that, okay, this is not a healthy metric to chase. Maybe you need to define better metrics. And now I only a couple of days back I spoke with them, and they were obsessing over their resting heart rate, which also, by the way, is very healthy, but was running slightly higher for a couple of days of different weather and like high pollution, and I think slightly poor health days. So yeah, this obsession issue is very real, and I think it comes down to individuals, I feel.
I agree, and we have to take it with a pinch of salt. I mean, we have to understand that it is developing a behavior in us, which we have to be. So, there is this line in this dialogue in Dear Zindagi. Okay, I'm going to do that. There is this
Okay, we're
dialogue.
going. What? This is a Bollywood movie, right?
Yes, Shah Rukh and Alia, where Shah Rukh is the
Okay.
therapist and Alia Bhatt is the therapy.
Yeah,
Therapy.
cool. We are doing movie reviews as well now.
Yeah.
Continue.
So Shah Rukh says that, I mean, in I don't remember the character's name, but he says that being self-aware, and I'm loosely translating it. I don't have a great memory with dialogues and all. He says
I
that,
don't think many people are gonna go and watch the movie to validate and
yeah,
then come
I
back
think
renting.
they would have watched it. They would have watched it. Have you watched it?
No, I've not. I'm like hearing the name only for like the second or third time. I didn't even know if, like, I was just making a guess if it is a Bollywood movie or a TV show or whatever.
It's a movie that promotes therapy and how therapy can help people and how mental health actually deteriorates, a person's journey. Yeah, and there
Okay.
is more to it. I'm sure I'm translating it very badly for you. Okay, so he says that. Let's get to the point. He says that genius is in knowing that the habits that you're forming are good or not, and genius is in knowing that knowing when to stop. And it's a
Right.
very it's
Makes
common
sense.
sense. It's common sense. It's just sensationalized by Shah Rukh Khan. But yes, the awareness that is required while you are forming behaviors or habits. If you are doing something repeatedly, you have to be cautious and conscious that this is happening every day. I'm looking at the watch. I'm looking at probably I'm fubbing all the time, or I'm seeking notifications in apps. So, for example, I caught myself moving from app to app: LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. Then there was another app. There was another app. There are four apps that I keep moving between. And then one day I recorded the screen, and it was not a good sign. It was unhealthy, and that is when I put a stop to it. So I mean, I'm just saying that it's we have to take these features, these things with a pinch of salt, and understand how do we want to probably customize our behavior with this tech. The tech should not control us. We should control the tech and filter it according to ourselves. Which brings me to a very important thing that we had talked about, which is the psychological uh, impact of having a smartwatch on you.
Right, true. And I think, okay, like I think we have not mentioned that. So you are a marketer, which means you are obviously constantly out there trying to get the attention of people.
Yes,
I am a product manager. So whenever you marketer folks bring people to me, I'm trying to keep their attention and I'm trying to get the attention of more of their friends. So I think both of us work in this space and yet are the victims of this very often.
I agree. I think
To a
that's
degree, maybe we can observe better of what's happening with us, maybe to a slight degree, but still that doesn't change our behavior much. Like knowing
absolutely.
things is not changing much for us. And a lot of these apps are just feeding that same gamification frenzy. They are giving us with more leaderboards, points, badges. Strava, like Strava, people are cheating in Strava.
Oh, let's talk about Strava. Do you want to? I mean, okay, there are two things. First thing is you won this podcast by using the word gamification. Corporates go gaga over gamification, just the word of it.
I know that's
And
why I refrain from using it actually.
and the second thing is, do you want to tell people what Strava is?
Okay, I'm sure most people would know
No,
if
no,
they are
no, no.
interested in listening to this podcast and are curious of what case we are making about smartwatches. I feel to some degree they are interested in
Let's not
fitness
let's
or
not
activity.
assume. Let's not assume because
Okay, but like
I'm
anyway,
not.
I'll obviously walk through what Strava is. So Strava is an app which people use to track their runs and cyclings and hikes and whatever, and obviously share, and then people compare. So people share internally inside the app, and people share externally as well on Instagram, Facebook. I don't think nobody anyone shares on Facebook anymore. On Twitter or whatever, people are sharing. Okay, today's run, today's cycle. Like there are some people who I'll religiously see on my Instagram daily, posting their daily Strava runs, and these people are killing it. Like these people are running 10 kilometers, 15 kilometers daily, or like cycling 40, 45 kilometers daily. So like mad respect, but this is a pattern. Now I get that maybe for them, and it's perfectly fine. I'm like, there are times when I would post a photo from gym, like, okay, this is my win. This is like, I know I started 15, 16 months ago. I've made progress. I want to declare that progress. That brings me some degree of validation. That's there, but it's an entire I would say a spiral or like a web of validation that keeps coming from different places. But Strava is something which I've seen people obsessing over, just like Instagram.
That brings me to something else that I mean, which is very behavioral I mean analysis that I read somewhere. I think few years back, not few actually, many
Okay,
years back. Incentives are of three types: social, moral, and monetary.
right.
So monetary incentive is something that we derive from our jobs and YouTubers, influencers. they are doing it now. But that is attached to another incentive, which is social incentive. And we keep hearing
True.
this term social equity, social economy, and social currency.
Right.
So the kind of pictures that you post, the way we both are looking in this video podcast, the way we are talking about things around us, and probably everything, almost all the apps that are coming out, they are very social incentive focused. They are centered around social incentive. How do you increase your social equity? Strava is one of them. And
Strava, Runtastic.
Runtastic, Strava, and I think to an extent, even I mean, I am using Nike Running Club NRC app, and it gives me a
Right.
leaderboard with all my friends. So it keeps me competitive,
Same.
you know. That okay,
Yeah.
these are the 42 kilometers XYZ friend has completed, the 18 20 kilometers you have completed. So now I know how many kilometers I need to run to beat that person's ass, right? So I mean, whenever we are using a device or whenever we are focusing on something, apart from utility, we should also think about what is the incentive that we are running after. And we, if the priority, if the first incentive is social incentive, it needs to be controlled. Otherwise, it leads to a very different kind of difficult kind of obsession, which is also again difficult to detach from.
Yeah, I mean, like until a point, it is helping. Like, okay, not gonna lie, there is a an acquaintance of mine who I'm not particularly close with, but he keeps posting his updates of his workouts and the progress he's made. And like, I know he was in a similar shape, like physically, where I was probably 2 3 years ago. He was there about like 5 years ago, and I see the kind of progress he has made. I've been connected to him for that long, so I can see the progress, and that honestly motivates me as well.
Hmm.
So, I mean, that's there. Like, so obviously there is clear value, and like I very clearly credit him for the role he has played. So, like, there is obviously a good part to it. There is obviously a very good part
Yeah,
to it.
I agree.
But the problem is, once it crosses into, like, we obviously have seen so many people just crossing into crossing that threshold where people are just chasing numbers. Like there are instances where people are uh, doing a ride on Strava and then putting their cycle in a van and like just doing distance for the records or for Strava records. So people are using um, e-assist bikes, electric cycles, and setting new Strava records. So at that point, it clearly is not about fitness. It clearly is not about motivation. I mean, it's about hacking your way to validation.
Hacking your way to validation. So well put. You realize that every most of the things that we spoke about, they it is very applicable to LinkedIn bros also. The kind of and
Uh,
startup culture where we go for the growth, not for the. I mean, okay, I'll not go there. Let me not go
you're more active on LinkedIn these days. I think you should not be like making pot shots.
there. I
I'm
am.
not complaining. I'm not complaining about what you're posting. I'm simply just like stating a statement.
And like, see, this is the first thing that I started with. There will be judgments, and we are included in that pool of judgment. So I am included in
Okay,
that
cool.
LinkedIn Bros pool of judgment.
Then it's okay. Embrace the cringe. We are
Embrace the
going with
cringe.
that. Like that's the theme we are going with.
Okay.
Also, if you see me looking away, I'm not checking text messages. I'm not checking my smartwatch. I'm only checking the notes I made for this.
I okay. That's
Yeah,
good relief that you told me about it.
yeah. Also, because we mentioned this, I'm gonna go to one of the screenshots I shared with you because we were talking about how
Yes,
people are.
I
Um,
remember that one. I was
yeah, and like
wondering when you will talk about it.
it's very funny because this came on 22nd of January, which like we're recording this on 24th of January, and I think we've been talking about this topic, this particular video podcast for past 7 8 days. So the timing was very convenient. A friend of mine, and like I'm sharing this with her permission. I've already notified her that I've shared the screenshot. I'm obviously not going to name names, but she is trying to increase her running, and she's doing that on treadmill right now because Delhi is terribly cold. You cannot be out running and like very polluted. Entirely different sob story. She messaged me 5 kilometers in 30 minutes, which by the way is a very impressive run. This was on a treadmill.
Agreed.
First time in years, 10 kilometer per hour for half an hour. 1 minute later, the next message was, "What a stupid day to forget to wear your watch."
We see it here.
Yes.
We see it here. She
What?
still knows the numbers. She still knows the numbers.
She knows the numbers because she was on a treadmill, and even if she was
Hmm.
not on a treadmill, the numbers are fairly easy to know. Like
Yeah.
you have landmarks. Ki I'm running till XYZ point. You know how far it is. But yeah, and like she told me that she actually, like, when she reached the gym, she actually considered walking back home and grabbing her smartwatch. She did not, but yeah, and like that's the same day she texted me this. And again, like this is not about her. This is not about her. This is the, like, this is the what do you call this, chasing the circles that end up at the like at the end of a day on your smartwatch, where you've completed
Yes.
your steps and you completed your number of minutes, active minutes, and number of calories that you targeted to burn for the day. It simply is about that. Like this is not her fault. This is just the patterns people are like developers are trying to get you to chase.
So I mean, actually, I would want to know. I mean, I rather if you can ask her, do ask her that will she ever leave her smartwatch now, because she has hit that goal already, and she has forgotten her smartwatch once. Will she ever leave her smartwatch, or is she okay now, knowing that okay, I have hit that goal, and now it is only forward from here. I don't need a smartwatch to detect it every time. I mean,
No,
this is the question
she
mark.
expressed her discontent with herself for leaving that one day, and like she makes sure to wear it still everywhere for other like sports and all, and like for these workouts.
Okay.
Because again, they have to be logged. You have to see the rings filled at the end of the day.
Yes, the satisfaction and relief of completion. And
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so so let's try to put together the psychological and behavioral impacts that a smartwatch has. Okay. So
Okay.
the first one is there is obsession and the fixation with numbers, which
Wow, I thought
um,
you'll start with the nicer things, but okay.
okay. Okay, I'll let you start with the nicer things.
Okay, it nudges you to work out, it nudges
Hmm.
you to stay more active. Like, however it goes, there is some motivation in that. Like, whenever I get a activity alert, like if you've been sitting for too long, I actually get up, walk around a bit, maybe just like hop around a bit, do a couple of squats just to like sort of get the heart rate going again, and then get back to my desk. I mean, like, there is upside, like, cannot dismiss that at all.
This is an upside. Why it did not strike me as the first upside is because I do the tracking without a smartwatch. I don't have a smartwatch at all. I've never
And
bought
that's showing
one.
the contrast between us.
What? Okay, what is the contrast? What is the
No,
contrast?
like the contrast as in ke, you are able to monitor that. I'm probably not, by now I'm dependent on, I've outsourced some of my body's feelings to a watch maybe, which I'm not realizing.
Good that you mentioned it. I mean, good and a great way to put it also that you have outsourced your body's feelings, how you are supposed to feel. Yeah, so this is something that we have talked about at length yesterday. That
Yes, it.
we did that you are outsourcing how you have to feel. A device is going to tell you, a tech is going to tell you, instead of being very conscious about yourself,
Yeah.
and all the things that Instagram tells you. I mean, most of the information that we are getting, what is the source? It is Instagram Reels. So Instagram Reels, what do they tell you? Love yourself, be conscious about your awareness, so I mean, I think that is one takeaway from this discussion.
No,
Love
speak for
yourself.
yourself. I aggressively filter my Instagram reels, and mine are not love yourself, but more memes. That's it. I just
More
find jokes
more
there.
More memes. Oh yes, okay, yeah. I mean, I am going by the surround sound. That is definitely not my Instagram feed. I will not talk further about this.
Okay.
There is
Okay, let's not.
there is, I mean, fixation on numbers. That's one. The second is
Yeah,
you might get dependent on the app to track something. So it's also possible that the day you don't have your watch, you'll not go for a run or you'll not go for a workout. I've seen people do that. You know, I'll not
that is true.
generalize it as a behavior, but it definitely is in place. Again, the something that you said in the start of the discussion, that it improves access to care. You definitely become very aware of how your body is doing
Right.
internally. It might not be super accurate. Again, you have to take it, like I have said twice earlier, with a pinch of salt. But it does help people who have health issues. And then I think another thing that we figured out was motivation through negative messaging. Is that the right kind of motivation you want in life? Me versus me is great, but me versus me because I am being shamed is, I mean, not the best way to go about it.
True.
What do you have other pointers that you want to add here?
Okay, so I'm gonna add like some tangents to some of these points you mentioned.
Yes.
One is obviously there are negative sort of motivators, but there are positive ones. I mean, I think the problem goes with both because even the positive ones make you positive ones make you dependent on the badges and the points that you're earning for daily activities and stuff like that. So
Again,
in the long
gamified.
run, yeah, the like even in the long run, even that has a problem at that. It's sort of giving you a different dopamine source. So that's one. The other is like that while you mentioned there are multiple parameters which may be good for someone who is not in the perfect health shape, who has health issues. It is good for them to keep an active monitor. uh, and yes, obviously these are not very accurate, but I would like to add they're still good as indicators that okay, like for instance, my watch measures body fat percentage. Now it may yeah, it does. It does. I cannot like. I mean, it's a feature that's there. Even ECG is a feature now. Apparently,
Yes.
after the last update, we will not get into those details. So it may not be accurate, obviously, because obviously, like it cannot be a replacement for like a full-fledged test, but it still is a good enough indicator to track progress if you are active. Like if I'm checking it once a month and I'm seeing a difference here, I'm just saying like even if the reading is off like by 20%, it's off by 20% in every instance of measuring. So I'm still getting a sense of progress. That's what I'm trying to
May I
say.
add? May I add something here? See,
Please go on.
there are, see, okay, from where I am looking at this, why do you need to have an ECG monitor? It is something that is, I mean, until and unless you are an athlete or you have health issues, you know, or you are doing probably training to achieve very specific goals. Even, you know, when you go
Yeah.
to gyms, they recommend personal trainers only in two conditions: if you have very specific goals which are like very stringent and you have like issues with discipline, or if you have health issues. So ECG is something which is recommended by doctors,
Yeah,
you
it's
know, in
serious.
when it's, yeah, I mean, it's a serious thing. Why do you need to look at something that serious when you don't need to? That's one. Second thing is,
I
again,
agree.
the same thing goes with body fat. I mean, we are so constantly in our minds about weight, and let's just not go in the weight shaming tangent because it's like a very big topic. But then, until and unless you are athlete level or a pro level, you know, person, a person who works out like that at that level, do you need to? Look at your body fat. Do you need to watch your weight to the extent where you know exactly, okay, this is A, B, C, D, this is the composition of my body, this is how everything is working, this is how the mechanism is going on. We are trying to know everything about the body's mechanism. Is it necessary all the time? That's all my point is here. It is required at an athlete level, but if you are a regular workout person, or if you're a beginner, you don't need that. It becomes, um, I mean, it's
An
overwhelming.
overload. Yeah.
Overload, yeah, yes, yes, actually, that's a better word. Overload.
Okay. I'm glad you picked these 2 points because that was the next thing I was coming to. That there are too many parameters available now, like compared to earlier. And again, it's we're still at the point about you're not feeling something about your body, like you're not waking up and checking with your body whether you're feeling good or not. You're checking with the watch or with the
Mm.
smartwatch app. So continuing on that point, like, and I'm glad you picked these two, like the ECG and the body fat percentage, because this again goes to the same point of you're overwhelmed with the sheer number of parameters. There are a lot more parameters than you even need to monitor, and then you start finding inputs there. Like someone I know is chasing resting heart rate, a lower resting heart rate, which will happen inevitably, but again, that's a stupid measure to keep checking on every week. Like that's something you should be checking maybe in 6 months.
It's like mutual funds. You do not look at your mutual fund profile every day or every week. You should look
Funny
at
you
it
mentioned that. I checked it today after like 6 months.
on. Yeah, I mean, I got into that habit of checking it every day, and then I was told by somebody that, dude, this is not how the way to invest. What are you doing? You will drive yourself nuts.
Right.
Don't do
But
that.
anyway,
It's
back
like,
to the
yeah,
ECG. Sorry. Oh,
yeah.
sorry. Yeah, I cut you
No,
off.
no, no. Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah. So back to the ECG and the body fat percentage thing. So ECG again, obviously overkill unless you have an issue, unless you have a potential issue, in which case it might help. I don't know if it does. I've not used it on my watch yet at all. Um, so that's a like excessive information that you do not need and will probably read too much into because it has been provided to you. That's one. But on the other hand, would you rather have people monitoring their body fat percentage or their weight? Because the problem is people run with a stupid parameter. People keep monitoring their weight without realizing that they are gaining water weight or they are gaining like muscle mass. They're just obsessing over the fact that okay, my weight is like okay, my weight has been the same for past 3 months now, except I've lost body fat and I've gained muscle mass. But the problem is this is a good parameter to monitor like again, I'm giving my perspective here. ECG is a bad parameter to monitor. This is a good parameter to monitor because I'm not bothered by the fact that my weight is the same over the past 3 months. I can see that okay, I'm making progress and in the right sense. So this is good.
Now, let me add something here. And this is, I
Go on.
feel, this goes with a lot of things, a lot of products, a lot of websites, theories, psychologies, a lot of information that we consume, right?
Right.
Um, you are given access to a service, a device, something, where you can do XYZ things. Like there are 100 features, but do you have the information to, or the knowledge to read that? you know
Yeah.
when you are
Absolutely.
watching your weight, okay, for example, I mean, I have the same weight for the past 5 to 6 years. It has not moved
Right.
by a kg or a few grams per kg. I mean, of course it does, but the average has been same, right? And I have looked different in that same weight. and uh,
Exactly.
and I went to, I mean, experts to understand what was happening. So that is the approach to take when you are using a device. If you don't know something, there has to be a voice in your head that, okay, you don't know about this, let's not become peace and jump to conclusions about our own bodies. You need to be
Well,
informed
that's how we
first.
operate.
That's how we operate, and that's how, I mean, the social fabric operates. Let me not go into the social fabric because I'm very overwhelmed today about the whole thing. But yeah, I mean, information, knowledge about whatever devices and tech, whatever services you are accessing, and how do you
Right.
read that? It's very important. When you look at data, how to read that data, what the data means, it's very important for us to understand. And I think it's also the onus of the companies. It is the responsibility of the companies that are providing the tech, and it's also the responsibility of the consumer to create that information symmetry and understand, okay, this is how I am going to take this particular data pointer, or how I'm going to read it. Is it important or not important? It's dependent on that knowledge that you have.
Okay, so to be honest, and I feel again my observation is this is obviously very much my personal observation. Like in the health app that I use, which is like Samsung Health, they try to communicate what like the parameters mean and like what would change, what would not, what I need to be monitoring, what I need to have milestones for versus things that I don't need to have milestones for. But you are absolutely right, they can do a much better job at that. Also, like people don't really expand on things. Again, we run with half baked information. We type our symptoms in Google and everything arrives at cancer. That's how it works.
Happened to me today.
So huh?
Happened to me today. Earlier, I would really panic, but nowadays I'm like, okay, everything arrives at cancer. So
Yeah. So you don't Google your symptoms, and I think you don't overread into your
data.
smartwatch data. I think that's the point.
So,
Because
hmm,
I have, sorry, I'll add one other point. I see so many people running and walking on treadmill in the gym who are actively checking their like smartwatch throughout. And again, this is this is data driven that you have to train into zone 2 for maximum fat burn, and like zone 3 is healthy. But also like just like dude, just run.
yeah, just
Just
run, do the workout, feel good, feel
yeah.
good,
Yeah,
right?
let your body tell you. Like people are just checking, okay, zone 2, it's zone 2 right now, it's zone 3 right now.
So along with the
Feels
squinting, we'll also figure out, okay, how am I feeling? My smartwatch is going to tell me. If I am
I'm
stressed, my
scared someone is gonna fall on a treadmill doing this.
yeah, it's
That's
actually a
what my
rational
real
fear.
fear is.
It's a rational
Huh?
fear. It's a rational fear. Not
Yeah.
going to disagree. Okay, so let's now, I mean, come to the arrive to the conclusion, and let's talk about what are the let's say better ways to use a smartwatch versus a fitness band versus inbuilt apps. What is the combination that works for, probably you, me, and what we think could work for people? These obviously are suggestions that
Yeah.
we'll be making, and I mean, we're just talking here. So
We're just talking, like there are no good answers,
yeah, no good
obviously.
answers to
I
this.
mean, yeah, because like the two contrasts are sitting in this
Yes,
conversation, not following the same practice. Had
yes.
there been a good answer, we would be doing that. So I think the obvious is like if you are using a smartwatch, like get your notifications in order. At least try to optimize some of the screen time away from away from your smartphone. Plus also I feel control what notifications is spill through to your smartwatch. Like don't just blindly install all the apps that are available for your smartwatch. The temptation is very high. I know I did that for the first month. Like everything that existed as a smartwatch app, I used that on the smartwatch. uh, but yeah, eventually find the sweet spot where it is actually complementing your smartphone and not really replacing it with just another screen where you're just constantly squinting and scrolling away. I think that's
This
a
this is also applicable to the notifications in people's phones. So I mean, my notification on the home screen, there are only two or three types of notifications that I'll get, and I will not get any other notification, none at all. But with some people, what happens? They have like a whole screen scrolling up. Unki notification panel itself is so cluttered. How will you be
yes.
able to focus on a few things? That is why, I mean, I think OnePlus was uh, working on this work mode, then play mode, and there were different modes that you can switch between, so that
Right.
you're able to focus better. But that can be also achieved just by customization. And that's always a good habit. Whenever you buy tech, customize it according to yourself.
Yeah,
So
I think like that's a very reasonable advice for any piece of tech
yeah,
anyone is buying ever. I think
yeah,
that like what you say applies for practically everything.
yes,
But
yes.
contain like control how much it communicates, control how much it can ring and notify you, like whether a smartwatch or whether even a laptop or like whatever the device.
Yeah, whatever
So
the
yeah,
device.
that's an obvious one. What else? If you are an athlete, I don't think you should be listening to our advice. You
Yeah,
know your shit.
we are not the right people to talk about athletes
But
and
maybe get one of
people
those
with
chest
conditions
sensors.
also. Yeah.
Yeah, like people with
Athletes and
conditions,
yeah.
go to your doctors. Don't listen to this.
Yes, don't listen to this, and we are not experts. We are just people who research things. We talk about it. We have opinions. We might be flawed. A lot of this, the things that we said in, I mean, talked about in our conversations could be, you know, anywhere between right to wrong. Okay, so Akshay mentioned how he uses his smartwatch. What I do when I do not have a smartwatch, but I still track, my workouts and my training. I use inbuilt apps. I have, like I said, there is a Nike running app that I have. That's what I
Right,
use. And after post workout, I mean post running workout, I basically go to Cult Fit. I look at their live videos or the videos that actually work for me. There are so many YouTube channels, there are so many apps now that actually give you guided workouts that help you. And by guided, I mean they'll help you understand what this is the difficulty levels, how to do it, and
right,
then they'll do it with you, and they are timed. They'll also tell you how many calories are you going to burn with this workout. So you are not dependent on an app anymore, you are just dependent on your own conscious habit. So I am dependent on my own conscious habit, and obviously I definitely look at the leaderboard on the running app. That goes without saying. I mean, that is the competitive behavior that kicks in. um, but it is not an obsession. I mean, I try to reduce the obsessions because I'm already working in an environment which is only digital. All my work happens on laptop all the time. I'm on
right.
my phone because of something or the other. So I want to reduce that time, and when I'm working out, I want to be away from tech and be very close to my own body and understand how I'm feeling. Obviously, after that, the weight watching happens, the food watching happens, so on and so forth. You can keep a tracker of that definitely. Talk to your gym trainers. Yeah. So yeah, there another way to profile this, or is there another way that that we can think of or suggest?
I'm not sure there is a very like a very concrete line to draw here, because again, like in your case as well, you're using a app
Yeah.
which can very well spiral out. Like you're just tracking one parameter. You like right now you're running as your primary exercise, right? And you're using your phone to keep a track of how much you run. But again, it has the same problem which a smartwatch can potentially have. So it very much is just about like keeping a control of your own feelings and not letting a device run your life. I feel this is very much a self control thing. It's very much a like like we should not be craving approval from a device, whether
Yeah.
a phone, whether a smartwatch. This is a behavioral thing. But yes, can pick other sources, as simple as that.
Yeah.
Not chase
Yeah.
leaderboards. But I don't know how we can draw a line. I don't have a good answer for it.
I mean, but we have pretty much mentioned this, I mean, said this again and again throughout this 1 hour conversation that um, you need to monitor your behavior over letting the device monitor your, health matrices and the way you use your devices. It should, I mean, so we were also talking about, actually, we were also talking about habit versus reminder of habit. So you inbuilt that habit, and the device is a reminder of that habit. So every time you look at
Right.
the device, there is a sense of guilt that triggers you to do something, right? So how do we separate that from the device and uh, make it, a very conscious discipline? I mean, that goes into a different tangent altogether.
Yeah.
Uh,
I've seen people
yeah,
using alarms, and people don't use smartwatches, they use alarms,
yeah,
which
I
reminds them of certain stuff. I personally have never done that, but I've noticed many people doing that.
So it works really well. I'll tell you the different ways that I use alarms. So when I have to sleep, instead of having my phone tell me when to sleep, I have a reminder: prepare to sleep, like 2 to 3 hours before my sleep time, 2 hours before my sleep time. So
Okay.
by that time, I slow down my processes. I reduce my screen time, and I start easing into the process of sleeping. Blue light, cut it off as much as possible.
Right.
When I was working from office, at around 6, I had an alarm that okay, prepare to leave. Yeah, फिर wind up. Actually, it was called wind up. So every time wind up. So whenever wind up would the alarm would come up, I would start closing loops so that nothing is pending for the day, nothing urgent is left for the day, and I'm not working till 9. That is
Okay.
how I was maintaining balance in my life. Honestly, it was through alarms. There was definitely a nudge. There was a nudge, but it was only a nudge. It was not dependency.
Okay. So I think what I can read from this, like because you also spoke about the alarms that you used to use, plus what I've seen for other people. So basically, it is similar to the nudges that we are getting from a smartwatch from a third-party app. But the thing is, in this case, we are controlling these nudges. We are keeping them clinical and functional, and not letting it spiral into a sort of a gamified or a like you we're not letting design or copywriting play into how it makes us feel. i
I
i, I
love how
believe.
you put it. Absolutely love how you put it.
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, I think the concluding statement that we have
Yeah,
here.
so own up your patterns, basically.
Own
That's
up your
the idea.
patterns. Yeah, and
Yeah.
own up your behavior, and based on that behavior, choose what works for you, where you don't get obsessed. Mental health is sarvopari, so
Yeah, but I'm still like I'm still gonna advertise for like this. I'm still gonna stick to the fact that watches do add value, but again, like just as long as you can, like, won't let it spiral out.
So, Akshay, would you? Okay, I think this is going to be the last question from me. Would you buy an Apple Watch? If yes, then
I
why? If
mean,
no,
this is
then
the
why?
equivalent. Yes, I mean, like Apple Watch is not accessible on Android ecosystem. I am on Android ecosystem, so I'm using an Android Wear watch,
Are
and
you
this
open to paying the amount of monies that?
I'm not. I'm not. I picked this watch because Samsung had rolled out the next generation, and this one was available to me for cheap. I got it for like 12,000 or something. I think my threshold, because like a watch is probably gonna last me 3 years. My threshold for that is maybe 22,000. That I feel is a rational amount to pay. Like again, for me, obviously it's very subjective for people, but beyond that, I'll not pay. And I think for Apple also there is a version available in that ballpark. Like the Watch SE, I believe is
Yeah,
24,000 only.
25K, I guess. Yes.
Yeah, so I think yeah, for till that ballpark, I will pay because I see value. I most certainly see value, but I also very actively try to note my like the behaviors that I'm creating. Obviously, many very often it's only visible when I'm looking backwards. But yeah, there are times when I'll leave my watch. Like, okay, I'm gonna go a couple of days without watch. I'm I try not to obsessively check the apps, but again, like it's all a blurred line. We had all of this discussion, but like it's all a blurred line. I think a good balance is hybrid smartwatches.
Yes. Oh, let's actually advertise a little bit of that. Please talk about the hybrid smartwatches. Akshay introduced me to the hybrid smartwatches by it was Fossil, was it?
Fossil makes some hybrid smartwatches. I
The one we
believe
saw.
Casio does too, and I'm
Casio,
sure
yes.
there might be other brands as well.
Definitely, whoever is going for a purchase, they should check it out. It is, I think if I were to buy a watch at all now to actually have the monitors also, I mean, the metrics also in place, it would be a hybrid watch.
Yeah, it seems like it makes sense. Okay, sorry, I'll set a bit of context. So, hybrid smartwatches are basically the level of tracking that you'll get on a basic fitness band and put in a nice, clean watch. So they are watches only. You don't need to keep feeding them more electricity every day or every 2 days. They run like proper watches. They are like standard watches with dials and everything, which are like physical dials, not a virtual screen. And like they have small screens. In some cases, they don't even have screens. They simply have basic Bluetooth connectivity and like a setup for vibration, so that you can get your notifications or have your steps tracked, which are not even visible to you on the watch. They are visible to you on the app only, which is like a fairly straightforward basic app. So I feel that's a good balance between having a some smart utility where you're getting, like, say, your call notifications or your email notifications and your steps tracked, basic parameters tracked, but not crossing into the level where it is overwhelming. Though I'm sure someone is going to spiral out and try to pack more there, but at least right now, Cashew and Fossil are
Nothing to
doing a good
start
job.
with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. How do we conclude?
I don't know. There is no rational conclusion. What do we close with?
So, I mean, how do you close
Observe your
anything?
behavior. That's the conclusion.
Yeah, actually, I think we are also proponents of consciousness and awareness. We are big proponents of consciousness and awareness. That's the underlying statement of most of the things that we have said. So, from
Right.
two
Yeah.
extremes, we come to the middle, and yeah.
Cool. So you want to?
No, we are done.
Achha, okay. This was the okay. Cool.
This was it.
If you like this, obviously we're gonna put out a lot more of such videos. Aishwarya is doing a little dance to invite you to like the video. I think the button will be somewhere around here. Will I be on the left side of the video or right side? Anyway, wherever, there is a like button, there is a subscribe button, and our social handles. If you cannot see this, this is probably because you're listening to us on audio. So you might want to visit us on YouTube and like see our faces if you'd like that. But yeah, thank you very much for listening.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah, that.